let's hear your dog stock report before you go, man.
Hey, man, I'm just going to, it's what I talked about earlier in recruiting. I know sometimes we get a little redundant with these, and it's hard not to, but Georgia recruiting, man, machine, absolute machine. Hearing that today, it was a little surreal, even as a Georgia graduate, as somebody who, listen, I used to call these kids and listen to them on the phone, and they would be like, hey, man, I got to listen to Alabama. Alabama's Alabama, or I got to listen to Clemson. Clemson's Clemson, right? And honestly, I was out of the game before Clemson stopped Clemsoning. But it's crazy. It's Georgia's got a lot of ammunition. They're not going to get everybody, but they're going to get a lot of the guys that they really want and the guys they act quickly on. Still going to get beaten from time to time, but this thing's stacking up to be around for a while. And still, I believe you got to have some breaks to win it all. But ultimately, if you keep stacking classes like that, you can build a dynasty. And, I think Georgia needs to get one out of the next 2 or 3 years to be considered a dynasty. And I think it will because of the way it's recruiting.
Good 25 stuff. Class stacking up already, too.
Yeah, that's 25. I think the 25 class may be like an all-timer. There's so many great kids in that already.
I think 24 is going to be the one. I'm going to do my stock up today on Sakovi White, Georgia wide receiver commit for the class of 2024. Had a chance to speak with him today. First off, he was just decked out in Georgia pajama pants, which looked comfortable as hell, but also quite fashionable with his white hoodie. But had a great time talking to Sakovi and just asking him, where things were in his process. And he said, look, I'm taking one official visit. That's the only visit I'm going to take, and it's going to be to the University of Georgia. And was really just impressed to hear that in this NIL era, to hear it from kids to say, look, I'm shutting things down. We heard that from Nye Carr also. He recently tweeted that. Out. Those guys, you don't hear that just a ton. And I think that they recognize not only the value of a commitment, but also, that Georgia's Georgia right now, and they can go out and recruit over you, or they can take another guy to fill that spot if you decide that you want to keep things a little too open. I think that it was really impressive to hear it from Sakovi. He's very serious about his commitment. He's working on Georgia's behalf. He's recruiting other wide receivers in this class, so he's clearly not scared of competition. And Georgia has a big plan for him in terms of he said they want to use him as the toy in their offense. They want to put him out wide. They want him carrying the ball. They want him doing a little bit of everything. And I think he can be an exciting offensive weapon. So Sakovi White, stock up on him, and certainly his mindset going into his recruitment process.
Dylan Brooks says Sakovi can scoot, son.
There ain't no doubt. Go watch that film on him. I'm telling you.
Cartersville Purple Hurricane.
Yeah, Cass. He's a Cass general, my friend.
Cass.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
He can get it done, but he gets it done on both sides of the ball too. And we talked about it. Sakovi, not the biggest guy on earth, and there's very few kids I've ever met who would legitimately tell you their height. He said, "Look, I'm 5'9.5". That's what the weight room's for, son." And said I can muscle dudes out. I can get out there. I can bang. So
can't make you any taller, but it can make you stand out.
Ain't no doubt. He's
going pound for pound. Cass fans, please forgive me. I misread.
They're going to take that one hard, Wes.
I know, man. I know some people from Cartersville, and they don't want to be confused with Cass, and Cass doesn't want it either. I do want to point out one thing, though. I just misread his On3 profile when I saw the Cartersville. Yeah. But, dude, he might not have the height, but he has the stash of like a 45-year-old minister. Yeah, that is impressive stuff. All right. Thank you, Jake Roos. I'll hop on next, Palmer. I was in Miami for a wedding over the weekend, and my Uber driver, I'll say stock up as a result of this ride, stock up on Kirby Smart's brand. I mean, we've spoken about it with recruits in regard to them earlier on in the show, but all I had to say when my Uber driver and I started to talk about college football, as my Uber rides typically tend to go if the driver is willing and ready. The guy asked me if I'm a Georgia fan, and I said, yeah, I went to Georgia, graduated. I'm a Dawg, and all he said was Kirby, man. And that says a lot. It's not just the brand of Georgia now, and Kirby Smart will never admit it, and he won't make this about him at all. But people in Miami, the most competitive hotbed for talent that you can probably try to get talent from, concentrated in such a small area, it's already recognizable that it's not just Georgia, it's about Kirby. So stock up on Kirby Smart, because that to me spoke volumes in such a short exchange.
Well, my stock up has nothing to do with Georgia football's brand, but Georgia golf's brand and the Georgia brand in general. Chris Kirk, a winner on the PGA Tour again, after almost 8 years, last one in 2015. Chris has a really great story. Would encourage anybody paying attention that's a golf fan, Georgia fan, just a fan of people in general. Chris has a really good story there. Stepped away from golf for a while in 2019 because of issues with alcohol and depression, and has since come back and been very vocal about his struggles, and was able to come away with a win today in a playoff at the Honda Classic. Was leading coming into the final round, almost blew it there on the final hole, sent one right into the water, but ended up getting get an opportunity in the playoff. Ended up behind a tree there, had to lay up and hit a shot from just about 100 yards out, right into a tap-in birdie distance. And so really great story there. Georgia golf on a hot streak here at the Honda Classic, 2 straight winners there. Sepp Straka won there last year. Dogs have won 4 out of the last 10, 3 out of the last 5. The win does qualify him for the Masters, which is huge for these Georgia guys.
It's a big win. One of those PGA Tour wins.
Yeah. So if I'm not mistaken, there's 6 guys that are currently qualified: Brian Harmon, Russell Henley, Chris Kirk, Kevin Kisner, Sepp Straka, Bubba Watson. 3 others are well within. 3 or 4 others are well within striking distance of getting there: Harris English, Keith Mitchell, Davis Thompson, Brennan Todd. They've got to qualify either by winning a tournament or securing themselves a spot in the top 50 of the world golf rankings. So 40th tournament win from a player that played for Chris Hack at Georgia, and it moves him into second among those guys. Bubba Watson has 12. This was Kirk's 5th. So
wow.
Stock up on Georgia golf. And Wes, you wrote about it last week. I think it was the Full Swing documentary.
Yeah, y'all check that out. Yeah, Chad Munn, working to get him on as a guest coming up here soon when his schedule allows it. Maybe around the Masters time, it might make sense, but we'll see what we can do about that. But if you're watching Full Swing on Netflix, the executive producer is a Grady grad from Georgia, and it's some really impressive work, and it's no doubt growing the game of golf, a huge cliche, but I think it's working. Some pretty great stories in that, and the story of Chris Kirk is amazing. Really mixed bag of results for guys with 2 first names tonight, as Chris Kirk gets the win and Jake Paul with a terrible defeat in the boxing ring.
And the guy that Chris beat in the playoff, Eric Cole.
There you go. Brendan Todd.
Stock up on Palmer giving love to the non-football sports also.